Shane, if we could turn back the clock and now you're 15 again, what would you do differently?
Yeah, there's definitely, knowing what I know now, there's a lot of things I would do differently. I mean, when I was in school, I didn't really try that hard, so I would say, I definitely would say to kids, I mean, I know a lot of people say to them and they probably don't listen that often, but definitely stay in school and get a good education. I think it would stand you in good stead. No matter what you do, whether it be a professional golfer or, you know, you're a businessman or anything, I think, you know, go to school, go to university, try and live away from home. You learn a lot about yourself and you'll mature as a person if you do that. You know, something I never did until I didn't live away from home until I was 23, which was a year after I turned pro. And it kind of was thrown out and it put me off a little bit. So I would say kind of, you know, stay in school, study, try and get the best results you can get and try and become as intelligent as you can at a young age.
You came onto the scene suddenly by winning a professional tournament as an amateur. What were the biggest differences between being a top amateur and now suddenly being a professional golfer?
Yeah, I mean, I was one of the best amateurs in the world. I think I was up in the top 3 at one stage before I turned pro. I mean, I went from being a big fish to all of a sudden you're a little fish in this massive pond, and it's kind of like, you know, it was a bit hard to take for me for a while, and you know, playing 32 tournaments I played in my first full season became quite difficult. I was only playing about 14 events as an amateur, so it was it was hard to take for a while. It was tough to get used to. Being away from home, you know, being on your own, being out on the road on your own was kind of, you know, a bit difficult. Because when you were travelling I was with the Golfing Union of Ireland, you'd be travelling with a team of people. Next thing all of a sudden you're heading off to the airport on your own, you're going to a place like China or something like that, and you know, it's a bit daunting when you're so young, but you know, it's something you have to get used to, and something I got used to quite quickly, thankfully enough.
So there is quite a difference from being looked after as an amateur by the Golfing Union of Ireland. Suddenly
you're on your own. I mean, a lot of amateur golf is team events. A lot of professional golf, or all professional golf apart from a couple of tournaments, is individual, and it's very individual out there, and it's kind of like, you know, everyone's playing for their living, so you know, you make good friends, but at the end of the day you're playing against your friends out there. So yeah, that's probably the main thing, being on my own and trying to get used to that was quite tough.
In relation to growing up, who influenced you the most?
Yeah, obviously my parents would have had a big influence on me. I'm from a very, very sporting background, both on my mum's side and my dad's side. All played GA, and I played GA as a kid, and that competitive edge that everyone in my family had was kind of, you know, we used to go out and play golf, play for a fiver for 9 holes, and it used to be, you know, one of the toughest battles you'd have, and it was quite enjoyable and got me into that kind of winning mentality. And you know, it was all about winning. Well, that's all I felt like when I was a kid. It was, you know, no matter what I did, no matter what I played, even to this day, if I play a game of pool against someone, I'll be annoyed if I don't win. That's just the way I am. And yeah, my parents, my family, definitely big influence, and probably Neil Manship has been the biggest influence on me so far. He's I've known him since I was about 17, so known him 10 years now. So Neil is my coach as an amateur, and he's still my coach this day, and he's a very good friend of mine as well, and a great guy to have around me, and a very solid person, and he's a very good influence on me.
Practice or play, which do you like most?
Yeah, I mean, bit of both. When I was a kid, all I did was play golf. I was a bit naive, didn't practice that much. You know, quite lucky that I was quite naturally, you know, talented as a kid, and it just came quite easy to me. And but now I'm a bit of both, to be honest. When I'm at home, I like, you know, I go to the range to see Neil a few times a week, but I like getting out with my friends and getting a bit of a competitive game, and you know, playing for a few quid or playing for dinner or something like that. And you know, it's always good to keep that competitive edge going on weeks off. But I would say to kids, I think, you know, younger kids, I think, get out there and, you know, try and shoot a score. Get out there with a scorecard in your hand as much as you can, and you know, try and try and shoot a score and keep your scoring average down, and you know, maybe if you go out once a week or every time you go out, try and keep your score and see how you get on. And I think you learn how to shoot a good score then when you're playing badly, which is, I think, the main thing in golf.
How much fun did you get out of the competition you had with family and friends growing up in Offaly or on the amateur scene in Ireland? Do you get the same fun now from being a professional golfer?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I'm very competitive, so I get a lot of enjoyment about, I mean, there's nothing like that feeling of being in contention going down the stretch on a Sunday, or even, you know, at the weekend at all. It's kind of, it's what you play for. And I mean, I try and not create that, but when I go out, like I go out for a game, I'm going out for a game today with three of my friends, and I mean, I'll be trying my damnedest to beat them and beat them by as much as I can. And that's just the way I am. That's the type of person I am, and that's where I get the enjoyment about golf. And I think it's the way like I said, I grew up in that environment. I grew up wanting to win, and I think that's the mentality people should have if they want to get to as high as they can.